With our CFO audience in mind,
Yeah.
what ESG readiness actions should they be thinking about?
Well, so it depends a little bit where you are and what your company structure is. So there are some rules in the US. Some stuff will come out from the Financial Reporting Council in the UK. The EU has got a very clear and probably the most extensive set of requirements due to come out. So it depends where you are in the world, and it depends what structure your company is. So the first step that I recommend is actually have a look at that and see what applies where, what will be consolidated, what will be local entity reporting, and just sort of get a map of how you're going to handle it from a corporate structure basis. So that's one thing. Now, I do just want to highlight it. When I say when the EU standards are the broadest ones and the most extensive, what's particularly interesting about those is you do not need to have your parent company in the EU to be impacted. If you have a subsidiary in the EU, and even though your parent company might be US, UK, whatever, the subsidiary that is in the EU, if it meets certain criteria, which are not that difficult to meet, it's a balance sheet, a P&L, and a number of FTEs. If you meet 2 out of the 3 of those criteria, and it's a balance sheet of more than 20 million, a net turnover of more than 40 million, and 250 on average, if I'm correct, FTEs over the years. So if you meet 2 out of the 3 of those, even though you're not listed, even though your parent company isn't in the EU, you can still, or you will still fall under the requirements. And the latest I've seen is around 50,000 entities in the EU are going to be impacted. So that's a lot. And it's a lot of entities that maybe haven't been used to that kind of scrutiny before, or these kind of requirements. So the ESG readiness actions, that the first one, corporate structure. So get your understand which frameworks are going to apply to you. So that's an important one. Then you're going to have to do a little bit of a gap analysis. So you've got to work out, what are you doing already and where do you want to be? And just high level, what processes are in place today, because there are going to be processes outside of finance often, even though they're maybe coming into finance or will end up in finance. They're probably outside of finance today. So you need to get a little bit of understanding of where you're at. Next to understanding the processes, try to get a little bit of assurance on the data quality. We are talking about non-financial data, and for most organizations, the data around greenhouse gases or around workforce, or whatever the item might be, they don't usually have quite the same rigor as the financials. They're going to need to have that. So get an understanding what your data looks like today in terms of quality, and then because governance is quite an important part, that's what the G in ESG stands for. There's actions that I would recommend that CFOs or people in their organization start getting after in terms of risk management and the control framework. That's good practice anyway. So just do a bit of a health check on what your risk management looks like today, what your internal control framework looks like. And I mean more than just the financial controls. So look at the business controls, look at the financial controls, look at your compliance, code of conduct, whistleblower, that kind of thing. And just take a bit of a health check where you are, because then what is it that you're going to be potentially and having to tell people about. You'll know whether you're comfortable enough to tell people about that. But also, when it comes to risk management, you can actually already start making sure that the climate-related risks are more robustly included in your risk management, as an example. So that's the kind of things that people need to be getting after. But I realize none of those things are just quick, easy, and done activities. There's quite a bit to it. Yeah, make sure that you've got the resources and the capacity in your organization to do it, because putting this just on top of other people's or of your team's accountabilities could be asking quite a lot of them.